May I now request the Honorable President of the People's Republic of Bangladesh to kindly hand over the Bangladesh Freedom Honor conferred on Her Excellency Srimati Indira Gandhi, former Prime Minister of the Republic of India. And I would like to invite Her Excellency Srimati Sonia Gandhi, President of Indian National Congress, to please receive the honor on behalf of Her Excellency Srimati Indira Gandhi.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would now request Her Excellency Srimati Sonia Gandhi to deliver her speech and share some of her feelings with us. Ladies and gentlemen, Her Excellency Srimati Sonia Gandhi.
Your Excellency President Mr. Zillur Rahman, Your Excellency Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, Dr. Deepu Moni, Mr. Tajul Islam, Mr. Abdul Aziz, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. There are times in our lives when we wish that someone whom we have lost could come back to life to share a very precious moment. This is one such moment. If Indira Gandhi could have been with us now, I know she would have been overwhelmed by the high honor you have bestowed on her, for there can be no honor higher than the one conferred for the freedom of an oppressed people and the birth of a great nation. I feel humbled and privileged, but also proud to accept it on her behalf. I do so with a very full heart, conscious that the honor is not hers alone, but also India's, and in a sense yours as well. A tribute to all those who struggled and sacrificed for the cause of freedom and human dignity. I am very deeply touched. Thank you. For me, to come to Bangladesh is not just to visit another country. Memories and emotions flood my mind. If I may share with you a cherished personal memory, my husband and I were present at the airport along with Indira Ji, her colleagues, and the massive crowd on that historic morning of January 10, 1972, when Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was welcomed in Delhi on his way home to his newly free country. The tumultuous excitement, the sense of optimism, indeed, the knowledge that history was being made, I can never forget. I pay tribute to the father of your nation for his vision, his leadership, his extraordinary courage and sacrifice. Much has been written and said about Indira Gandhi. The quality she prized above all else was fearlessness. This was a quality which her father, Jawaharlal Nehru, and the father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi, had also inculcated and cherished. Throughout her life, courage and Indira Gandhi were synonymous. The courage of a young girl separated for long periods from her imprisoned father and enduring the loss of her beloved mother, of a young woman facing up to police lathi blows and imprisonment, and of a leader dealing with the many crises of her long prime ministership. Never was this courage more manifest, never was it more tested than in the months from March to December 1971, when Bangladesh was being born. In the face of threats, in the face of pressures, she held her nerve and extended a hand of friendship to your heroic struggle for freedom. Throughout that difficult time, I was struck by her inner calm, even as storms raged around her. It was a calm which could only have been born out of immense courage and conviction. A free Bangladesh was your victory, but also her finest hour. Courage and sensitivity do not always go hand in hand. Yet Indira Gandhi embodied them both. Her policies reflected her qualities. She was sensitive to the plight of the poor and the imperative of combating poverty, sensitive to nature, to the environment, sensitive to the arts, to music, to dance, to literature, and to the quest for new knowledge, sensitive to enriching the human spirit beyond material goods and avarice, sensitive to nurturing wholeness in the human person. Much of this came from her time in Shantiniketan, one of the most formative periods of her life. It was at Shantiniketan that her soul blossomed. Sitting at the feet of Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore, she imbibed something of his worldview, the mingling of Eastern and Western values. If I may say so, Shantiniketan also made her something of a Bengali at heart, a lover of the Bengali language, of good conversation, of the creativity, color, and liveliness of Bengal's composite culture. The emergence of Bangladesh, therefore, meant something much deeper to her than its geopolitical implications. She saw in it a renewal of the spirit of the Bengal she knew and loved. She would have rejoiced that you have kept that flame alive. Our two countries have much in common, not only in terms of history and culture, but in the challenges we face, and no less important, in the values we believe in. Foremost among them is the challenge of eradicating poverty and destitution and providing our peoples the opportunity to lead lives of dignity and fulfillment. Indira Gandhi was clear that this must be the true burden of politics. The progress we have each made so far highlights how much more needs to be done and how unremittingly we must work in this direction. As you perhaps know, India's rate of economic growth is now on a high track, but its benefits have yet to reach millions of our poor. Growth has, however, generated resources which we are using in a purposeful manner in scores of large national programs to blunt the edge of mass poverty. And I would like to mention just a few. Free midday meal scheme now feeds 150 million children in government-run schools. All rural families are now legally entitled to 100 days of employment on local works in the countryside. A food security bill shortly to be introduced in Parliament will hopefully end malnutrition and hunger. In areas critical to the quality of life, your country is ahead of India. You have achieved almost universal immunization of infants, a smaller proportion of underweight children, significantly lower infant and child mortality, more mean years of schooling, a higher level of female secondary education, and a longer life expectancy. I am particularly impressed that you have achieved parity in male and female enrollments at both primary and secondary level. Women's empowerment has clearly been a key factor in your success. Your NGOs and government have worked together most effectively for the better delivery of services. We each have something to teach the other and must continue to do so in a spirit of mutual respect and equality. Of course, our countries will follow their own chosen path of development, but to the extent that we are able to cooperate and learn from each other's experiences, it will redound to the greater common good of both our people. That is what Indira Gandhi would have wanted, and that is what I hope we will constantly endeavor to do. Indira Gandhi rightly believed that nations are built on the strength of their determination in facing problems, no matter how immense. The people of Bangladesh and its leaders, its freedom fighters, have given ample evidence of such courage in the face of innumerable odds and difficulties. And you, Madam Prime Minister, exemplify this through your inspiring and enlightened leadership. You have endured hardships, made many sacrifices, and stood steadfast by your principles in the course of your long public life. Indira Gandhi, whom you had known, would have been proud of you. Mr. President, Madam Prime Minister, we in India wholeheartedly subscribe to building the closest friendship and cooperation with Bangladesh. You can be sure that as Bangladesh moves from success to success, there will be no louder cheer than that from us in India. Once again, I thank you for the honor of conferring on Indira Gandhi the Bangladesh Freedom Honor, and I end by giving you and all the people of Bangladesh my heartfelt greetings, my good wishes, and my thanks. Joy Bangla, joy Bangladesh and India friendship.